Well, I've read chapters 8 through 14 of A Storm of Swords, and these chapters feel like the moment when masks begin slipping. But not all at once, not dramatically, but slowly. The honorable king makes a disastrous mistake. The loyal knight reveals dangerous desire. The outlaw turns out to be more lawful than the law. The crippled boy becomes something not entirely human. And the songs keep playing in the background like prophecies no one fully understands. Especially the song about the bear, because the bear song shows up again in Arya's chapter. We already heard it while Sansa was with the Tyrells. I feel like there's got to be something to it. Like I mean, on the surface, it seems like just a fun little song about a bear and maidens, um, but with it being repeated, um, maybe it's just my Tolkien brain, my Inkling's brain going, but uh, like it seems like more than just decoration, but maybe some sort of clue, the tone or irony or fate or something. But but what strikes me most about these chapters is is that almost every character is trying to decide what kind of world they actually live in. A world of songs or a world of consequences. First of all, Daenerys' chapters are fascinating because they show her trying to become a ruler rather than just a survivor. One of my favorite lines that she says is, "A queen must listen to all." That's genuinely wise. And what's interesting is that she learned it from a book. That matters because Dany is consciously trying to model herself on queenship. She's constructing an identity from history, prophecy, memory, and imagination. But Martin immediately complicates this wisdom. Because, yes, a ruler should listen to everyone. But how do you rule when everyone around you may be lying? And that's the problem Jorah raises. And honestly, Jorah is both right and wrong at the same time. He's right that Illyrio is dangerous. He's right that Arstan is suspicious. He's right that clever men are dangerous. But he's also becoming possessive. And then comes like it's just shocking. I wasn't expecting Jorah to be so take such an upfront moment, but there's the kiss all of a sudden. It just took me totally by surprise. I wasn't expecting it. But what makes the scene effective is that it's uncomfortable. It's very uncomfortableness. Uh, it's uncomfortable in several directions at once. Jorah genuinely loves her. Dany's not wholly repulsed. There's attraction, loneliness, dependency, gratitude, and power tangled together. but there's also violation. She says, I am your queen. And that's an important line, I think. Jorah wants to collapse the distinction between devotion and possession, while Dany is trying to maintain it. And then Jorah interprets the prophecy. He says the dragon has 3 heads. His answer is marriage. 3 dragons, 3 riders, a new Targaryen conquest. But I think Martin's doing something clever here. Everyone keeps trying to force prophecy into the shape they want. Melisandre does it. The warlocks do it. Jorah is doing it here. Prophecy in these books feels less like divine certainty and more like dangerous fire people try to hold in their bare hands. Then branch chapters. Branch chapters are, I think, quietly becoming some of the most important in this series. Because Bran is no longer simply learning magic. He's beginning to lose the boundary between himself and the wolf. And this frightens Jojen. He says 2 and 1. That's the central tension of Bran's story right now. He's Bran, he's Summer, and increasingly he is both at once. What makes this so haunting is that Bran likes being the wolf more than being himself. Which, of course, he does. When he's Summer, he can run. He can feel strength, freedom, instinct. As Bran, he's broken. And strangely enough, this feels very Lewisian to me. C.S. Lewis often wrote about the danger of surrendering your humanity to appetite, instinct, or power, even when the temptation feels liberating. But Martin frames it tragically rather than morally. Bran's temptation is understandable. He says, what good is it to be a skin changer if you can't wear the skin you like? A line that's just heartbreaking. Because beneath the fantasy element is the grief of disability. Bran doesn't hate humanity abstractly. He hates pain, helplessness, and dependence. And then Jojen says something terrifying. It's 3 words that we've heard so often in this series. It's repeated constantly. And yet in this context, they're terrifying. Winter is coming. And it's terrifying because he doesn't say it as a slogan or as a clock. Bran doesn't have infinite time to grow safely. The world is darkening too fast. And then comes one of the most mythic passages yet, the description of green seers. Seeing through werewoods, wearing the skins of beasts, knowing the truth beneath the world. This suddenly makes the story feel ancient, like we're descending beneath history itself. Then Davos uh, continues to become one of the moral centers of the book, of the series, really. And he's compelling because it's what makes him compelling is not that he's always right. It's that he possesses conscience. And that's rare. That's much more rarer in Westeros than intelligence. Everyone around him is adapting themselves to power. Melisandre, Selyse, ambitious lords, flatterers, survivors. Davos alone keeps asking, what is right? And now he's reached a terrifying conclusion. Melisandre must die. Not because he hates her personally, nor because she insults his faith, but because he genuinely believes she's destroying Stannis' soul, the soul of his king. The imagery around Dragonstone is almost infernal now. There's fires beneath the mountain, secret stairs, brooding darkness, visions in flame. It feels less like a kingdom than an underworld. And Salador San plays an important role here because he represents practical realism. He thinks Davos is insane. And honestly, from the outside, he probably is. But one thing Martin does brilliantly is show how conscience can make a man look irrational in a corrupt world. And that reminds me very much of Fyodor Dostoevsky's book, The Idiot. In this context, Davos is the idiot. Davos believes he survived for a reason, and that belief gives him purpose. And then Jaime and Brienne might be my favorite dynamic in this third book. They're just such a good they're so good together right now because they're tearing each other apart philosophically. Brienne believes in ideals. Jaime believes ideals are lies. And both of them are partly right. Brienne sees Jaime as the ultimate oathbreaker, the Kingslayer, the man who betrayed his sacred vows. But Jaime keeps forcing the uncomfortable question, what was he supposed to do? Let Eris burn everyone alive? Jaime's bitterness comes from the fact that no one cares about the moral complexity. They only remember the title, Kingslayer. And this section contains one of the most revealing lines from Jaime. It was that white cloak that soiled me, not the other way around. An astonishing sentence. Just astonishing. It was that white cloak that soiled me, not the other way around. Because the Kingsguard, the supposed pinnacle of honor, became a prison of hypocrisy. Jaime's not saying he's innocent. He's saying the institution itself was rotten. And yet Martin also refuses to let Jamie fully off the hook, because Jamie responds to Brienne's idealism with cruelty. He mocks her womanhood. He mocks her knighthood. He mocks her longing for honor. And why? Because Brienne still believes, and Jamie envies her for it. That dream at the end with Aerys on the throne is, I think, incredibly important. Jamie pretends not to care, but his conscience is alive beneath the sarcasm. No one. He wants someone to understand what happened, because no one ever has. Then Arya's chapters continue just to feel like Lonesome Dove dropped into a war-torn fantasy world to me. Roads, campfires, outlaws now, songs, constant movement. Then this strange group of people appear. At first, they seem suspicious. Arya thinks they're robbers pretending to be king's men. But I think there's something more. Uh, I think this group of people at this point and all is asking the question, in a collapsing kingdom, what even is legitimate authority anymore? Because the crown is corrupt. The nobles are fighting each other. The countryside is burning. So these ragged men become something strange, an unofficial remnant of justice. And the repeated bear song matters. The first time we heard it, Sansa was among the glittering Tyrells, hearing courtly music wrapped around political schemes and marriage plans. Now Arya hears it among outlaws and soldiers and mud and hunger. Same song, but a completely different world. That contrast feels intentional. Songs travel through Westeros unchanged, while the meaning around them changes completely. In Tolkien, songs preserve memory and myth. In Martin, songs often preserve irony. And then comes the devastating emotional moment. Harwin recognizes Arya. And what destroys me about this scene is Arya forgetting who she is for a moment. She has worn so many identities: Airy, Weasel, Cupbearer, Boy, Orphan, Runaway. That when Harwin asks who she is, she hesitates. That hesitation, I think, matters, because identity is becoming unstable in this world. Then Harwin kneels and says, Arya Stark of Winterfell. For the first time in a long time, someone sees her truly. And she breaks down crying. Not because she's weak, but being recognized is overwhelming. And then we have Robb's return, which is one of the saddest parts of these chapters, because Catelyn suddenly realizes that Robb is no longer a boy. And yet like war has transformed him, and yet the tragedy is that he's still young enough to make a catastrophic romantic mistake. His marriage to Janie Westerling isn't cynical lust, which is what makes it tragic. It's honorable, it's emotional, but it's also impulsive. He sleeps with her while devastated by grief over Bran and Rickon. And afterward, he marries her because he believes it's the honorable thing to do. And in another kind of story, that might make him noble. But this is Westeros, where honor collides with politics. And Walder Frey is not the sort of man who shrugs off humiliation. Catelyn understands this instantly. One of the great themes of these books is that personal morality and political necessity are often at war with one another. Ned lost because he was honorable. Robb may lose because he tries to be honorable too late. And then there's Grey Wind. Catelyn believes the wolves are more than wolves. And I think she's right. The wolves are tied somehow to fate, identity, instinct, and maybe even the old gods themselves. When Grey Wind distrusts someone, Catelyn listens. Robb doesn't. And that feels ominous. So, these chapters are about people crossing invisible lines. Dany crosses a line with Jorah. Bran crosses a line between boy and beast. Davos crosses a line into assassination. Jaime crosses a line between cynicism and confession. Arya crosses a line back toward her true identity. And Robb crosses a line that may destroy his kingdom. And all the while the songs keep playing, especially the bear song, a ridiculous, bawdy, traveling song, and yet somehow it keeps showing up beside danger, courtship, humiliation, violence, and memory. I think that's a Song of Ice and Fire in miniature. The songs survive, but the world beneath them is changing. So anyway, that is chapters chapters 8 through 14. I'll see y'all next time as we begin chapter 15.